No one ever imagined this would happen in 21st century Europe. A sovereign nation invaded the entire world, shaken the United States and the West. What will they do to confront the Russian bear? The war in Ukraine, a battle not only of guns and steel, but of global influence. This is not just another channel. This is where global conflicts are exposed, where facts are louder than propaganda, and every war has a voice. Truth matters. Strategy matters. The world needs to understand. Welcome to Time of Conflict. In the months before, February 2022, Russian troops massed on Ukraine's borders. Satellite images revealed armored columns stretching for miles. Western intelligence warned of an imminent invasion. Some leaders sounded the alarm. Others dismissed it as a bluff. The Kremlin denied everything. On Russian state TV, the idea of war was mocked, even ridiculed. But in Moscow, battle plans were already being finalized. 4 major axes of attack designed to break Ukraine's will in just days. Kyiv in the north, Kharkiv in the northeast, Donbass in the east, and the Black Sea coast in the south. The world watched, holding its breath as the storm gathered. February 24th, 2022. Before dawn, the sky over Ukraine lit up. Missiles rained down on Kyiv. Explosions echoed through Kharkiv. Air raid sirens wailed in cities and towns. Russian tanks crossed the border. Columns of armored vehicles pushed deep into Ukrainian soil. Paratroopers attempted to seize Hostomel Airport, just miles from the capital. In the south, Kherson fell within days. In the east, fierce battles raged across Donetsk and Luhansk. Millions of civilians fled westward. Families torn apart at train stations. Men saying goodbye to their loved ones before heading to the front. The Kremlin believed Ukraine would collapse in a week. They were wrong. In the first year alone, the United States provided over $40 billion in military aid. From javelins, shoulder-fired missiles that turned Russian tanks into burning wrecks, to HIMARS, high-precision rocket systems, capable of striking ammo depots 80 kilometers away, 777 howitzers, artillery pieces that pounded enemy positions day and night, and the Patriot missile system, which shot down Russia's most advanced weapon, the Kinzhal hypersonic missile. Each delivery was a signal to Moscow: Ukraine will not stand alone. How did Ukraine know the Moskva cruiser's position to sink it with deadly precision? How did they detect a 40-kilometer Russian convoy before it reached Kyiv? The answer: American intelligence, satellites, intercepted communications, and AI-driven analysis gave Ukraine a god's-eye view of the battlefield. And in orbit, Starlink satellites provided internet access to troops, even under heavy bombardment. Before the war, Ukraine's army was built on Soviet doctrine. 2 years later, they operate Abrams and Leopard 2 tanks. They fly F-16s. They fight, like NATO, over 116,000 Ukrainian troops trained in the West, from the deserts of the American Southwest to the forests of Poland to the fields of the United Kingdom. Ukraine's defenders transformed into a modern fighting force. Behind every bullet is the US dollar, Ukraine's government, survived because Washington funded it. Public salaries, pensions, hospitals, humanitarian aid, all kept alive by American taxpayers. In total, over $122 billion in U.S. support, military, financial, humanitarian. While artillery roared at the front, America fought in diplomatic halls, convincing Europe to sanction Russia, freezing over $300 billion in Russian assets, blocking the export of key technologies, crippling Moscow's war industry. Even long neutral nations, Finland and Sweden, joined NATO's shield. Thanks to Western support, Ukraine reclaimed over 50% of the territory seized by Russia in the early days. Without HIMARS, Russian logistics would remain intact. Without U.S. intelligence, the Moskva would still sail. Without Western support, Kyiv might have fallen. Americans may ask, why give such massive aid? The answer is simple, because it works. No U.S. soldier has died. Russia's military is weakened. America's alliances are stronger. Ukraine has not yet won the war. But one thing is clear. Without the United States, Ukraine would not exist, as it does today. What do you think about America's role in this war? Leave a comment below. And if you found this video valuable, hit like and subscribe. After more than 2 years of war in Ukraine, the world is exhausted. Burning tanks, shattered cities, millions of refugees on every screen, from Kyiv to Kharkiv, from Mariupol to Odessa. The images are the same. Homes reduced to rubble, children crying in shelters, fathers leaving for the front lines, not knowing if they will ever return. And beyond Ukraine, the shockwaves spread. Europe struggles with energy shortages. Global food prices climb. Markets tremble. And the question in Washington, in Brussels, in every capital across the world echoes, can this war ever end? For the first time since the Cold War, the United States and Russia sit face to face. Not in Moscow, not in Washington, but in Alaska. Anchorage, a frozen outpost, halfway between Washington and Moscow, chosen not by accident but by design. To Washington, Alaska represents home turf, American soil, but also a frontier close enough to Russia to remind Moscow of America's reach to Moscow. Alaska is a bitter memory. Once, it was Russian land, sold to the United States in 1867 for just $7.2 million, a decision many Russian nationalists still call a historic mistake. During the Cold War, Alaska was a front line. American bombers stood ready. Radar stations scanned the skies, watching for Soviet missiles. The distance between Russia's Far East and Alaska, only 55 miles, across the Bering Strait. Now, more than half a century later, Alaska once again becomes a stage. But this time, not for military confrontation, for diplomacy. The symbolism is clear. Alaska is both a bridge and a warning, a reminder that America and Russia are closer than they like to admit, and a test. Can rivals sit at the same table? Behind closed doors, the guest list remains officially secret, but sources confirm. From Washington, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, National Security Advisor, and senior negotiators on energy and arms control. From Moscow, Russian Foreign Minister, top generals with decades of battlefield experience, and economic advisors close to the Kremlin. Observers arrive too. The European Union sends envoys. Japan and South Korea quietly take notes. India positions itself. As a potential mediator, the United Nations watches carefully, but not everyone is welcome. Ukraine is not at the table, excluded, as Washington and Moscow talk over their future. And China sends only a low-level observer. No high-ranking officials, no public statements, just silence. A silence that speaks volumes. This is not just a summit. It is a power play. Every handshake is strategy. Every seat is leverage. Every pause is calculation. On the table lies a heavy list. Ukraine. The war grinds on. Can there be a ceasefire, or even a frozen conflict that locks the battle lines in place? The U.S. insists on protecting Ukraine's sovereignty. Russia demands recognition of its territorial gains. NATO. Will America keep pushing for NATO expansion? Or will Washington offer Moscow assurances that Ukraine will never join the alliance? For Moscow, NATO is an existential threat. For Washington, it is a non-negotiable commitment. The Arctic. As ice melts, new shipping lanes open. Gas, oil, and minerals lie beneath. Who will control the Arctic? Who will secure the future's most strategic frontier? Nuclear stability. The last great treaty, START the Three, collapsed. Arms inspectors are gone, missile tests increase, and both sides quietly modernize their arsenals. The doomsday clock ticks closer to midnight. Energy. Russia's pipelines are sanctioned. Europe pays a heavy price. America pushes liquefied natural gas exports. But can the global economy withstand more energy shocks? Each topic is a battlefield of words. Each sentence is a negotiation tactic. Each silence weighs more than speeches. After hours of silence, translators whispering, generals staring across the table, the first cracks appear. Agreement 1, the Alaska Communication Line, a new hotline, not just for leaders, but for militaries. Direct links between U.S. Cyber Command and Russia's Defense Ministry to prevent drone collisions, cyber miscalculations, or accidental nuclear alerts, like the hotline of the Cold War, but upgraded for a digital battlefield. Agreement 2, a temporary pledge on tactical nuclear weapons. Both sides commit. No deployment of short-range nuclear systems near each other's borders. It is not disarmament. It is not trust. But it is a pause button. Agreement 3. Limited transparency in the Arctic. For the first time, both nations allow international observers in selected Arctic ports. Not full access, but a small step toward confidence building. Each agreement is fragile. Each word, carefully chosen. Each comma, negotiated. The breakthrough is not peace, but it is dialogue. And dialogue is something the world has not seen in years. Behind the smiles remain shadows. Ukraine still burns. Neither side commits to withdrawal. Neither side promises an end. NATO remains a red line. The U.S. will not shut its doors. Russia will not accept expansion. Sanctions remain in place. Russia demands relief. America says, not yet. And most of all, trust. Both sides leave Anchorage still suspicious. Every handshake hides a clenched fist. As one European diplomat whispers, "This is not peace. This is only a pause." Beyond Alaska, the ripples spread. Markets react immediately. Oil prices dip. Stocks rise cautiously. Investors hope, but do not trust. In Brussels, relief. In Berlin, cautious optimism. In Paris, skepticism. In Kyiv, outrage. Ukrainian officials condemn the talks. How can they decide our future without us? One minister asks. In Beijing, silence. China's leaders study every detail, every agreement, every hesitation. For them, the Alaska summit is not an end, but an opening. And in Washington, The debate begins. Supporters claim America has proven itself, the indispensable nation, the power capable of bringing adversaries to the table. Skeptics warn, this is just theater, a show of diplomacy, without substance. The Alaska summit ends, not with celebration, but with silence. The kind of silence that carries weight, the kind of silence that leaves the world wondering, will these promises last? Will the guns finally fall silent? Or is this only the calm before another storm, and the ultimate question remains, will our world ever truly see peace?